All right, we are live. I guess no countdown today. That's just going to be on the wayside. Welcome. Take two. That countdown wanted to jump in there right as soon as we figured, hey, let's go for it. I'm in a hotel room, so Wi-Fi might be a little spotty. I'm going to blame it on that. But welcome in, everybody, to our first edition of SEC Primetime Live. I'm your co-host, Josh Mahler, along with my co-host, Blake Lane. We will be here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can check everything that I do over at Oklahoma at the Voice of College Football, Blake Auburn at the Voice of College Football, getting on here talking SEC getting closer to football season. So obviously, it is for season. First and foremost, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well. I'm just slowly preparing myself for SEC football, and we're 2 weeks away from the good stuff, man. And I'm excited about week 0. I can't wait for obviously the Auburn Tigers on that Friday night out in Waco, Texas. But man, we got a slew of week 1 games that the SEC, the matchups out there. I feel like the last 2 years, the SEC has kind of been getting disrespected, Josh. And everybody wants to throw out, well, the SEC hasn't won the national championship in 2 years. But, you have in week 1, you have the opportunity to go really, really hammer the nail and put your mark down and say, hey, we still run the college football world. So there's a lot of matchups out there, man. I think LSU needs to make a statement. I look forward to Alabama making a statement, playing Florida State week 1. But a lot of good matchups, man, and we're almost there for kickoff.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. I think week 0 is still college football, right? You can whether you're going to call it week 0 or not. I think that's debatable. But it's college football, and it means we're back. It means we're back. We get to watch some good, meaningful football. And you're right. I think the whole what conference is better debate is all kind of up in the air. We know the 2 best conferences. It is the SEC and it is the Big Ten. But tonight we're going to get into SEC predictions. We're going to get into season predictions. We're going to go alphabetical order, go from top to bottom, and talk each of these teams. Maybe give kind of our win, toss, loss games in there, mix that in, and just kind of give our predictions real quick, just to run down as we get closer to SEC college season. It's going to be a lot of fun. First, for everybody watching, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And of course, like I said, we will be going live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well, so you know when we go live here on the channel. We were supposed to go a week earlier, but I was a little concussed last week. Not feel like making it out to a show. So we're gonna get rolling with it, man. We're going to start off with Alabama. Like I said, alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Alabama season prediction. Blake, I'm going to let you take the floor with it and get us rolling on your rival team. How you feel Alabama doing in the 2025 season?
Well, I'll tell you, Josh, I like them coming out and making Ty Simpson the starting quarterback. I feel like that was what we kind of all expected, right? I feel like the pieces that you bring back on this defense it's probably going to be a top 5 defense in the country. And then obviously the playmakers outside, you bring in a couple of pieces from the transfer portal. You got Ryan Williams coming back, Jeremy Bernard. There's a lot of weapons out there, man. You got Jam Miller. There is a ton of weapons for Ty Simpson to work with. And obviously they got Ryan Grubb back to take over the play calling in Tuscaloosa. So I think Alabama is set up in a really good position. I think all they really need is for Ty Simpson. You don't have to be a superstar. You just have to not turn the ball over and go out there and distribute the thing around to your guys, and you're going to be okay. because Alabama's going to lean their hat on their defense. And I think Alabama gets back to more of a physical brand, hard nosed style of football this year. And it was really kind of weird seeing Alabama with the Milrow thing last year and him not really fit into that offense and seeing them try to force it, and so I think they get back to being the Alabama of old, and I think they have a really good year, Josh. I think they go 10-2. Like I said, I think they have a great opportunity to make a statement week 1 against Florida State. I think they go and hammer Florida State, and I think that could potentially lead to the downfall in Tallahassee that's going to be coming here soon. So I really like Alabama, man. It's hard to bet. It's hard for anybody to get on here and say that Alabama's going to miss the college football playoffs again, because it's just, that's not something that happens a whole lot. And so it would be really, really difficult for me to say that they're going to lose 3 games again and then a 4th game in a bowl game. I just don't see that happening, Josh. I think they're going to be really dang good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they're going to be a good team, and I think when we first heard Kalen DeBoer taking over for Nick Saban, I know you and I were talking the day that it happened, and we were talking about how, it's tough to take over for the guy. But then later, and when we reflected back on it, it was like, you know what, that was actually the perfect time to take over a program. He left it in perfect shape and left it to you with a great program. Your worst players were most teams' best players. And that's what you had to work with. And so, and obviously Kalen DeBoer, I don't think enough people give him credit. A lot of people kind of give him, this hype of Nick Saban still recruiting there. No, he just has to say, this is still the brand of Alabama football. And I just made it to the national championship with Washington just a few seasons ago. So, there isn't a whole lot that he's missing from his resume to prove himself. I think Alabama is going to be just fine. I do think, like you said, Ty Simpson has quite a bit to prove. So I agree with you. I think they roll Florida State. I think Florida State's just got a lot of question marks this season. They have a lot of question marks. And of course, coming off of a terrible season, historic season in the sense that you went undefeated one season and only won 2 games the very next season. So I agree with you. I think Alabama wins that one. I think ULM, obvious win there. Wisconsin, I think going on the road to Wisconsin is going to be an electric game. I think it could be very close. I see some people picking Wisconsin to win that game.
They play Wisconsin at home this year, don't they?
Yeah, I guess. Was that on the road? Yeah, that was on the road last year. So that is at Tuscaloosa. So yeah, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so Wisconsin at home makes my decision even easier. I think they win that game regardless. And then Vandy at Mizzou, Tennessee, Eastern Illinois, and then I'm even putting at Auburn as a win for Bama. It should be a win for them. And then those toss games, I'm kind of putting South Carolina and Oklahoma are those 2 games that I think are kind of a little bit of a toss. And I know, Blake, I was mentioning it to you. There's some teams that I'm going to go through on this that it may not make any sense to some people because I put it as a toss game for the one team, and then the same team that they're going against, I put it as maybe a win or a loss for them. And that reason being just because for some teams, you should win that game. The other team, you have a chance to go in there and steal something. And then, of course, those 2 losses that I'm going to give Alabama are Georgia and LSU. I just think Georgia, Kirby Smart's going to get that program going. Kirby Smart's going to keep that program rolling the way that they are. And I think Brian Kelly's got LSU in the best position that they've been since he's made it to LSU. So I like LSU this season. I think I'm very high on them. I think they've got a lot to prove. So Bama, I've got them eight for sure wins. In my opinion, you got 2 kind of toss-up games to me and then 2 losses. I think Alabama goes 9-3. That's my overall season prediction for them. I do think they drop a game that they shouldn't, kind of similar to what you saw last season. They should not have ever lost to Vanderbilt, but they did. They should not have ever lost to Oklahoma, but they did. And so this season, I think there's one of those games. One of those might be Oklahoma. And closer that we get to game time, obviously I'm an Oklahoma guy, so I'm going to feel a little bit more hyped about that. But that could be, or South Carolina could also be that team to kind of knock them down a little bit as well.
I think they lose 2 games, man, and I think both of them are going to be on the road this year. And I know LSU's kind of in that toss column for me, but I think going to Athens, Georgia, and by that time, Gunnar Stockton will have his feet wet. He'll be in the rhythm of playing football for the Georgia Bulldogs, and I think that's going to be a tough environment for Ty Simpson and the Alabama Crimson Tide. But then I also think going to Columbia, South Carolina, man, and Lenora Sellers and that group they got up there, that's going to be a really insane atmosphere. If you remember that 2010 Alabama team, that was one of the most talented rosters that they've ever had, and they went up there and had to deal with Alshon Jeffrey and Steven Garcia. And so I think that's a tough environment. I think they lose 2 games, and I think they're both on the road.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Georgia, South Carolina is totally an underrated team overall. This year, I think a lot of people are taking notice because of what they did last season. Lenore Sellers, an amazing athlete, and we'll get to them for
No
sure.
doubt.
So, yeah, I think that could be the team. I just also think that LSU is good enough to come in there and take it from Bama this year. I think they've got everything that they expected to have under Brian Kelly right now. You've got Garrett Nussmeier. I think personally, I put him as the best quarterback in the SEC, possibly in the country. And and so of course Kirby Smart being on the road against Kirby Smart's going to be tough, and that's big. Alabama has been their Achilles heel, but it's finally the tides are turning a little bit. No pun intended.
That's a good one.
But let's go ahead and move on. The next one in order is Arkansas. Blake, I'll start us off with this one for Arkansas.
Yeah.
I know you and I were chatting real quick before hopping on here. I don't have high expectations. I love Sam Pittman. I want to see him stick around. He fits Arkansas, right? Like it's just that's if you had to draw up and go to a sketch artist at a police station and say, all right, here, draw this up for me. Okay, I'm going to explain to you Arkansas football, and I need you to create this coach. Sam Pittman would be the guy that he sketches. And so I love Sam Pittman. He fits so well there, but it's at the end of the road, in my opinion. You either win or you're out, and I think this is the season they lose. And they lose enough to send him out the door. I'm going to go down this real quick. My wins, I've got obviously Bama, A&M, Arkansas State, Memphis, and Mississippi State are the wins for them. Everything else will probably be a loss, although they have a chance at maybe a couple in there. Let's say that maybe they get a good piece of one of those teams that they shouldn't win, like they did against Tennessee last season. Maybe they get Missouri because Missouri comes to Arkansas. They come to Fayetteville. Maybe they get Missouri. And so I'm gonna predict them overall. I'm trying to be really optimistic for Arkansas here, and I'm giving them 5-7 on the season.
Yeah, I actually go a step lower than that. I think they're going 4-8, man. I'm not even sure if that Memphis game is a win. And I think this is the end of the road for Sam Pittman. The schedule is just so brutal, Josh. Like they go to Oxford, they got Notre Dame, to Knoxville. They got Texas A&M. I know that's a neutral site game every year, but it's still Texas A&M. And then you got to go to LSU, to Texas, and then you got Missouri in the final week. That's a tough schedule, man. That's a tough slate. And I just don't think I think Taylor Green is super athletic, and I think he can make plays with his legs and everything, but the accuracy issues are still there for me. I just don't think they're going to be very good, man. And I think this is the end of the road. And I actually said a year ago, I think bringing Bobby Petrino back to Arkansas was a good thing. I think they need to look past everything that happened with Bobby P. And I think once they get rid of Sam Pittman, I think you just promote Bobby Petrino back to being the head coach at Arkansas. And I think they could get rolling there and get a little bit of momentum. And that is what I think is best for Arkansas football. Now, their school and the boosters might feel differently, but I think that's what needs to happen at Arkansas. So
yeah, and I agree with you too. I feel like that felt to me like the whole plan for bringing Petrino back. It just
Yeah.
felt like we're obviously looking past everything in the past enough to bring him onto our staff. Why not take that extra step and promote him up to the next level? Put him up there at head coach. I agree with you. I feel like that's the right move. I think that's like the obvious move.
Mm-hmm.
Teams don't always make the obvious move. They don't always go with the hire that makes the most sense. That's right there in front of your face. For example,
Tell me about it.
back whenever Nebraska got rid of Bo Pelini,
Mm-hmm.
didn't make
Yep.
why you'd get rid of a coach that's getting you 9 wins every season, 9, 10 wins. And they got rid of him. And all the names that were floating out there for the Nebraska Cornhuskers were all over the place with big time talent. And it really wasn't a good season to be looking for a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up getting Mike Riley. Of all coaches, they get Mike Riley, the one guy that I know my family, obviously being Nebraska fans, we had to look him up. Like, what is this guy? Oh, he was at Oregon State with one good season his entire tenure as a head coach. That's the kind of stuff that happens in college football. You just hire the guy that doesn't make sense. But yeah, I agree with you. Arkansas should go that route, and I'm feeling the same as you. I think 4-8 is probably more realistic for them. I just do feel like Arkansas is still good enough and talented enough where they're going to beat a team that they shouldn't. And that's kind of where I'm giving them the 5 wins on the season.
I could see it. I mean, I think they could get that Memphis game. I think they could. I think it could have. I mean, I think the Auburn game is going to be a crucial game. I think it's going to be. It could end up being really big for Arkansas. I think it's going to be really big for Auburn. So that could be a swing game for them as well. So I think this is it for Sam Pittman and his Arkansas days. So.
Yeah, and you start off the season not too shabby. You know, you've got Bama A&M, Arkansas State. You do go at Ole Miss. That's tough, but it's one that I think you can hang in there this year at least. And then at Memphis, that's one that I think you could win. And then all of a sudden you go down a stretch where you got Notre Dame, at Tennessee, Texas A&M, Auburn. That's brutal. And then of course you got Mississippi State, which I think you can pull off in there. Then you got LSU, Texas, at Missouri. So yeah, just tough schedule. And I mean that's the kind of schedules you're going to see in the SEC, especially now with Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC.
For sure, no doubt, brother. It's a gauntlet.
Going down to one that I'm sure you're nervous to talk about, but also excited. Your team, the Auburn Tigers. Obviously, I'm letting you take the floor on this one. I want to hear you out first before I make, because I still got a couple games in here where I could say, you know, screw it. I'm flipping it over. That's a win. If you convince me so.
Well, you know, look, I'll keep it short and sweet. We know all the weapons Auburn has. We know the guy that they got out of the transfer portal to play the quarterback position, right? Like, we can go on and on about it. I think what Auburn's season comes down to is getting hot early out of the gate, because last year you didn't get hot out of the gate. You were actually ice cold out of the gate, and you started playing well as the season went on, and you just couldn't close games out, right? So one of your most pivotal games this year is right out of the gate. You play Baylor at Baylor on that Friday night, August 29th. If you win that game, I think you win your next 2, and then you have another crucial, pivotal swing game with Oklahoma at Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold's return. I think that's going to be just a diaper dandy. I think it's going to be one of the games in the SEC slate that we're going to talk about that week, and we're going to be extremely fired up about it. Whoever wins that game, I think it changes their season, whether it's Oklahoma or Auburn. I think that's the one that changes either team's season. Now, if Auburn can get that game at Oklahoma, then obviously you go to Texas A&M. I think that's a tough one. But then you get Georgia at home. So I think if they can make it through that stretch at like 5-1, 4-2, I think Auburn goes on a roll, man. Like, if you can make it through that, if you can make it through Oklahoma, at A&M, and Georgia at home, if you can just go like 1-2 or even 2-1, and you beat Baylor to open it up, I mean, I think Auburn, that back half of the schedule is not hard. I mean, you got Alabama at home. I mean, I think Auburn could get on a roll, Josh. And me personally, I did a prediction show like last week or so. I got Auburn going 9-3. I think that what I watched last year is Auburn struggled at the quarterback position. Auburn was without their kicker, and you can say special teams doesn't matter. They lost games because they didn't have a kicker last year. They lost games because of Peyton Thorne, and now you're even better on offense. You have more weapons. Jackson Arnold doesn't have to be spectacular. He doesn't have to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. He just has to distribute the football and not turn the ball over. Now, I know he had some fumbling problems at Oklahoma, and just don't turn it over. And just be a facilitator, man. Just be a point guard, a solid, serviceable point guard. That's all Auburn needs, because I think Auburn's defense, they were top 30 last year. I think they could be top 20 to top 15. That's how good I think Auburn's defense can be, Josh. So I think that Oklahoma game's very, very pivotal. And I think that to open it up with Baylor, man, if you go out there and beat Baylor week 1, I think you make a statement. So I'm kind of feeling high on Auburn. Now, obviously, everybody might say I wear orange and blue goggles, but I'll be the first one to tell you, I think if Auburn loses that Baylor game, I think we're in trouble. So that's where I sit with Auburn right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Baylor is it's similar to man, I'm trying to think. I went to the Nebraska-Colorado game last year. If Nebraska beat Colorado, it wasn't going to mean that we felt like Nebraska is going to win all these games this year, but it definitely felt like that was going to tell you what to expect from Nebraska throughout the rest of the season. That's how I feel about this Baylor game for Auburn. And I apologize to bring up Nebraska as an example twice, but just most recent on my memory. But and very similar to Oklahoma. Oklahoma going against Michigan in week 2. I don't think if Oklahoma beats Michigan that, oh my gosh, we should just freak out. Oklahoma's going to be a great team this year, because we don't really know what's up with Michigan. Yeah. Same thing with Baylor. You could beat Baylor, and Baylor's competing for the Big 12 championship game this year. I do think I agree with you. I think that Baylor game is huge. Now, let me lay this out for you. If Auburn beats Baylor by a couple touchdowns, which I think is something that they're able to do, and like you said, if Jackson Arnold can be the Jackson Arnold that even though I'm an Oklahoma fan, I'm the guy that still defends Jackson Arnold. I think he was put in a terrible situation at Oklahoma, and if he can go out there and be the guy that I know that he can be, he is a 5-star quarterback for a reason. If he can go out there and be that guy, I think you beat Baylor by a couple of touchdowns, whoop up on Ball State and South Alabama. You go into Norman, possibly a ranked top 25 matchup.
Yeah,
I mean that's setting up to be a huge game. And then of course with all the storylines, the hype around that game, I think that's huge. Although I'm questionable with Auburn. I just don't know how much of a difference some of the big moves, which I agree with you. I think they've done a lot of good things. I just don't know from the outside looking in how much those are going to matter. And how much they're actually going to change. I guess they're going to matter a lot. And so, yeah.
Well, Josh, who is John Mateer taking? Who's he putting his money on?
I was talking with him a little bit. Yeah, I mean he kind of spread his money around all different ways. No, I like that.
Yeah, Moneyline Mateer.
Moneyline. But for Auburn, I've got Ball State, obviously South Alabama, Missouri, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer, all those. I think those are obvious wins to me. Auburn has struggled with those obvious wins here in recent history, so that sticks in your brain. When you're trying to make predictions on them.
No doubt.
But I do believe in them. With you, I'm with you on there on them. I think Baylor toss-up game, Texas A&M toss-up game, Arkansas toss-up game. Personally, I think Oklahoma. Oklahoma it has improved a lot since last year, and they were able to beat Auburn just basically completely on the defense alone. They won 6 games last year, completely only with a defense, nothing else.
For sure.
Although Auburn, Oklahoma, very similar. I do think that can be a lot closer. I'm giving that one to Oklahoma right now. Let's see what happens week 1, and I may be totally changed on that. And then, of course, Georgia, Bama. Georgia, Bama. I think those two are losses as well. I'm going to give
For sure.
Auburn 7-5 as my official prediction for them on the season, but I'm right there with you. I think you win Baylor by a couple of touchdowns. I'm looking at Auburn possibly taking down an extra team that they're not really expected to take down. You beat Baylor. Like I said, those 3 toss-up games for me, I don't know why I put Arkansas in as a toss-up game on my notes here. That's not a toss-up. That's a win for Auburn.
I think it could be, though.
It could be.
It's a tough environment. Auburn's had trouble in Fayetteville at times.
That's probably why I put that down in my notes, is because, like I said, Auburn has struggled with those should be wins. Cal should have beat Cal. Should have whooped up on Cal. Was it New Mexico or New Mexico State?
Yeah, New Mexico State with Pavia.
Yeah, just stupid games like that just should not have ever gone the other way.
Yeah,
and so that probably is why I have it as a toss in my notes. But overall,
no doubt,
I'm right there with you. I'm thinking 7-5, 8-4. It's extremely feasible for Auburn. And like you said, that back end of the schedule, man, it lightens up a lot. After that Georgia game, you've got Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer before that Iron Bowl matchup against Alabama. That's
I'm with you.
How many did I say there? Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer. That's 5 wins right there that I think you could have 5 winning streak going into that Alabama game.
I'm with you.
And I don't think Auburn's just going to get walked all over by Alabama. They're in that game every single year, no matter how bad they are. And so, I think that's a game. If you win all 5 of those games, I'm probably taking Auburn money line for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Iron Bowl is the greatest rivalry in college sports, man. I think it's going to be a hell of a game this year. So we'll see, man. We're almost there. We're almost to that Friday night. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. You know how I feel about it. I've told you, the Iron Bowl is the best rivalry, Red River rivalry, Red River shootout, whatever you want to call it. That is the best rivalry game itself. I think just the game, the atmosphere, can't beat it.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't beat it.
For sure.
Let's go ahead and jump over to the chat real quick. We will jump down to Florida here in just a second. I see we got plenty of people in the chat. I know we got some people that are Auburn fans, obviously, by the looks of some fans of yours. Let's see here.
They're always supporting, man.
Bama not beating Auburn this year. How confident are you in that?
I mean, you never know with the Iron Bowl, Josh. You really don't. This is a thing where I'll keep it short and sweet. Auburn has been absolutely terrible. You can go back to the Bryce Young 99-yard drive. You can go back to the 4th and goal from the 31, the Milroe miracle. There's just been, even last year, man, like Alabama gets up, Auburn slowly starts coming back. They're driving the ball, and then Hugh calls a halfback pass, and Jarquez throws a pick at the goal line. And it was a 2-possession game at the start of the 4th quarter when that happened. If Auburn scores there, Auburn's back within a touchdown. And it's like Auburn was 5-6. And, it's just they were on the road. They were a heavy underdog. So you never know with that game. That's why I think it's the greatest rivalry. And so, yeah, I mean, it's in Jordan-Hare. There's voodoo in that place. It's magical. Crazy things happen on those stomping grounds. So you just truly never know.
Yeah, absolutely electric. And I think it's like I said, it's one of those games. Auburn's not going to get ran all over by Bama. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how bad Auburn is. They never do. But jumping over to Brett real quick in the chat, he says, Josh, what's the actual truth behind the tier story? Okay, so a lot of it's speculation. The main thing is you just can't punish a kid for that. I mean, you don't do sports gambling on Venmo. If that was the case, you would have seen it from Venmo to DraftKings, to FanDuel, to whatever sports book, or to maybe a bookie. That's not how you do sports betting. And so you would really have to have some kind of verifiable proof. And so that's the gist of it. My opinion, John Mateer is a prankster, is a jokester. And, what he says is that it was not the descriptions was not what it actually was. The descriptions were more like joking around. And so
Yeah.
I could see John Mateer as a freshman quarterback who's at Washington State, has nothing to do with these two teams, joking around with his buddy offensive lineman and saying, sports gambling. And then the offensive lineman says, dude, what are you doing? I could get in trouble for that. That's what it seems like to me. Just total prank, joking around, stupid, should not have done it. Absolutely should not have done it. But whatever it was, I don't know how you punish him for that.
Do I think he should get in trouble? No. Do I think he did it? Yes. And if he didn't,
well, okay, so
it's probably the corniest joke of all time.
It is. It's stupid too. It's dumb. You should know
It
better.
is dumb. It is dumb, and it's whatever to me. Like to me, man, with the betting and the gambling, as long as you're not out here, Pete Rosing this thing and gambling on your team or whatever, even though Pete never gambled on them to lose, I don't know. I get why gambling is so frowned upon, but we have these sports companies and these broadcasts and these podcasts and these shows on ESPN. What's the first ad that is always brought up when they start their show, Josh? This show is sponsored by DraftKings. This show is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. This show is sponsored by what's Dave Portnoy? Their little Barstool Sportsbook,
MGM.
MGM, Bet MGM, and it's a Bet Us and all this stuff, man.
Bet 365.
It's every single sports show is opened up with a gambling site as their first ad. And so I kind of agree with Joel Klatt. I saw his tweet. Are we going to really punish this dude for this? Like, I mean, he's an immature kid. He was joking around. If he did do it, okay, cool. Like, I mean, who cares, man? Dude was trying to be one of the boys and hit a parlay for, 500 big ones and walk around and, act like he had a little bit of money as a freshman at Wazoo, So, I mean, who cares? I think it's all in fun. And there's no way he should be suspended or anything like that. But, me, honestly, I'm kind of hoping for a 4-game suspension. But, no, I'm kidding. No,
You really want to see? You really want to see Michael Hawkins Jr. again?
Yes, I do. I would love to. As long as I don't see Peyton Thorne. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he's good, bro. I think he's good.
I see some similarities between Peyton Thorne and I agree with you, man. I agree with you. No, you know me. I love Jackson Arnold. I still stand by the dude. I hope he does great there. I just hope that he gets beat by 20 points on September 20th, whatever week that is against Oklahoma. But
I don't blame you.
Anyways, let's go ahead and move on real quick. We'll move down to Florida. Florida, man. Mm-hmm. I think Florida's going to be good this year. I love DJ Lagway. I love Billy Napier and what he's got there. And I think if they do what I think they can do this season, they'll be just fine. I think Billy Napier will be just fine. Mm-hmm. But I got them locked in at 7-5. I'm really trying to find a way to push them to 8-4, and I struggle. I do think there's a way. Okay, I find a way that Florida comes out, but with some of the question marks in camp here recently, with some injuries, Lagway kind of down, out of practice here and there, it just has me questioning it. So I'm going to stick with my gut and say 7-5. Obviously, Long Island, you better win that one. What are we doing
for sure?
Scheduling Long Island University, but when you got that schedule, I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and then you got to have a cupcake in there.
Yeah, you do, especially early season. Get you going. Yeah. Oklahoma opens up with Illinois State, so I can't hate on that. And then you turn around, have Michigan come into your home. So, I'm okay with it. You got US, that's respectable non-conference, mm-hmm. But you take them down. Mississippi State at UK at Kentucky, and then I think even Miami. I think Florida can beat Miami. I'm not really high on Miami. I'm not high on Carson Beck. I never have been high on Carson Beck. I think Miami could have a down year this year compared to what they have had. I definitely think Carson Beck is a big step down from Cam Ward. Maybe not big. I think it's a step down. But then, you
I'm
got
with
Ole
you.
Miss, Florida State. I think both of those are toss-up games that Florida could win. So, that's 7 that you could win right there. I do think Florida wins a game that they shouldn't between LSU, Texas, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Tennessee. Which Tennessee, I guess, I really should throw in there as a toss-up game for them. I think there's a couple of games that you can win that maybe you shouldn't. At least one of those, and then of course half or more of your toss-up games, I think Florida can win. So I'm going to lock them in at 7-5.
I'm right there with you. Like I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time. Like I look at this schedule, I see 8-4, but man, like going to Texas A&M, I think that's brutal. You got Texas at Miami, but like you said, I think they can beat Miami. I am interested in to see Carson Beck, but man, that Miami defense is it's Swiss cheese. So they do have to play LSU at LSU. Oh man, this schedule, the past 2 years, their schedule has been absolutely brutal. At Ole Miss, that's going to be a revenge game for Ole Miss because Florida got them last year and kind of destroyed their playoff hopes. So, I know Lane will have them boys fired up. I think they blast Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee is going to be very good, but I don't know. We'll talk about them later. And then Florida State, I think they blast Florida State. I think this is it for Norvell. I think Florida State's going to be absolutely awful again. I mean, they might 3-9, like 4-8. They might be a little bit better than last
Yeah,
year,
I don't know if they'll be that
but
bad. I think
no,
they
they're
make a
bad,
bowl
dog.
game.
You
I
think they
think they
make a
make a bowl
bowl
game.
game?
They bring Tony White in at defensive coordinator from Nebraska. That's a big move. I don't know how big it's going to be year one. I think they make a bowl game. I'm there with you though. I think Florida State's going to be down.
They went.
I don't know. They're a
They went
huge
and got a
question mark. They're
quarterback
in
out of
the
the
ACC.
portal. Yeah, but they went and got a quarterback who quit on his team.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm
They were
not a
fighting
fan
with
of Florida State, man.
they were fighting with DJU last year, man. You can't do too much worse
Yeah,
than
but
that.
they're fighting with Castellanos this year. Like, is he much better? He's like
I don't
5'2".
I don't think he's worse. I'll say that.
He ain't worse now. I give him that, but
It is
it's
better. I don't know how much better, but it's better.
what around him. Like
Yeah.
that's just my thing. Is like I
Yeah.
don't think they have it around him either. So I don't know. I think
Who
it's a
cares? Who
bad thing
cares?
down there. Yeah, they're not
ACC
even
is
a
not going
part.
to win it
Yeah,
this year.
yeah, never will.
You got Clemson and who else? Georgia Tech is up there in the ACC.
Yeah,
But it's ultimately though. Yeah, I think
SMU
Florida handles Florida State just fine. Yeah,
for sure.
SMU.
That's weird. It's still
But
weird saying.
what was your overall? Then you're sitting there at 7-5 with me then at Florida.
Yeah, 7-5, like 8-4. I think could be a possibility. Lagway is, that's kind of questionable to me. Like, is he going to be okay? It's the shoulder, then the ankle, and then you hear him walking around in a boot. Like, goodness gracious, that isn't what we want to hear as a Florida fan, right? So if he's healthy, I like Florida. If he's not healthy, oh man, Billy might have a rough go, Josh. So
Yeah.
I'm
right there with you.
A lot to find out for the Gators.
All right, let's move on to Georgia real quick. I know you and I are both. Georgia's the top of the SEC, although I do think there's some question marks with Georgia for me. Personally,
Yeah.
I think there's some question marks. I'm not sure how much I like Gunnar Stockton or whoever else you want to throw in there if you're Georgia. I don't know. That's a huge question mark for me. And so I have a hard time just going all in on them. I do think Bama and Texas are really the only two that they could lose to. But man, I want to say 10-2 on Georgia just because I'm not high on them, but it's Kirby Smart. And so I'm going to go 11-1 with Georgia, even though I really want to give him the second loss.
I'm going Georgia to win the SEC title, man. 11-1. I hate saying that. Their
defense is still going to be elite.
Elite always will be. I hate saying it because, this Deep South's oldest rivalry, but I'm here to be a realist, Josh, and I think the Georgia Bulldogs and what Kirby Smart produced and the Schumann over there, I think he's phenomenal, and And the only thing that I have questions about is, yes, at quarterback. But the one thing I'll say about their quarterback, man, you look at Georgia's past history, and since they've been on this little run, like people have always doubted. They got Stetson Bennett back there, and what did Stetson Bennett do? He come out and he shined. He led them to national championships. You hear, well, Aaron Murray's not the most talented guy. Well, Aaron Murray comes out there. Jake Fromm's not the most talented guy, and Jake Fromm comes out and balls. You know what I mean? So like, people have questioned. It's kind of like the QB position at Alabama is people question it all the time, but then they throw out a Greg McElroy who might not be the most talented, and he goes and wins a national championship because he's just a facilitator. He's a great point guard. So yeah, Gunnar Stockton, there is some questions. I do need their wide receivers to get better this year. Led the nation in drops last year. That's gotta. I think that just deflated Carson Beck a little bit. I think that might have been the reason why he truly left Georgia, is because he was like, hey, I need to go down here to Miami, play in the ACC, open it up a little bit, help my draft stock, all that good stuff, man. But I love the Georgia Bulldogs here. I can't pick against Kirby, dude. Like, he's that guy. And when I look at their schedule, yes, Alabama, that's going to be a crucial game. Ole Miss, look, that's going to be a payback game, because you know what happened last year. They come to the Dogs. Obviously they got Florida with the cocktail party. Texas comes to them. They just abused Texas out there in Austin last year, and then they get in the SEC championship game. What a game that was! So that'll be one with some high stakes. But I like Georgia, man. 11-1. I think that one, Georgia Tech in Atlanta. And then the SEC championship game is the following week in Atlanta. So the Georgia Bulldogs will be back-to-back trips to Atlanta, Georgia, right down the street. So kudos to them, man. I think he's the guy down there.
Yeah, I mean, he's running not just the SEC, but he is the best coach in college football right now. I mean, Saban stepped away and he is number one. So I mean, it's his show. Yeah. I don't know if they win a national championship with the 12-team format. It's hard to pick anymore, but they're up there. Brutal. They're up there. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think they make it to the SEC championship. I think maybe way ahead of time right now on this prediction. I think maybe they make it there, but they lose the SEC championship game.
Okay, could see that.
I don't know who they're going against though, so we'll have to kind of see. But let's go on to Kentucky real quick. Kentucky, we got Kentucky. This is another team that I'm trying to be somewhat optimistic for. And I feel like 4-8 is probably the right prediction, but I'm going 5-7 with them. I feel like the wins that they have in their bag are 3 non-conference games they've got in Toledo, Eastern Michigan, and Tennessee Tech. Outside of that, I don't know. You're going to have to go take some games. So if you've got 3, I think they can win 2. I think they're going to win 1 that they shouldn't, and then maybe one of those toss-ups like Vandy. I think they can beat Vandy. Maybe they beat Louisville as well. I don't know. I'd have to see what Louisville ends up being this year. But yeah, Kentucky. I'm not very high on Kentucky. My official prediction, I'm going to give them 5-7 because I do think they're going to win 2 outside of the 3 easy games that they've got there.
I'll keep it short and sweet, Josh. I think Kentucky's going to be absolutely terrible. I think they go 3-9. I think they win those 3 games that you were talking about, and that's it. I think Miller Moss carves them up with Louisville. I think Kentucky. I think this could be it for Stoops. I do. So
3-9, it better be it. I mean,
yeah. I think this is it. I think they kind of wanted him to leave last year. Like. They flirted with it and all that, so like, I think they lose to Vanderbilt, Florida, Auburn. I don't see another win on their schedule, man. I'm sorry. I think 3-9. I think they're terrible. Some of the pieces that they lost, they bring in Zach Calzada is your starting quarterback. Yeah. I don't know about that, man. Didn't they lose the Brown kid, the wide receiver? Didn't they lose him to LSU? So. Yes. I mean,
he went to LSU.
Yeah, that's brutal. I'm not feeling the Kentucky Wildcats, man. Just to keep it short and sweet, I think they're going to be the next to worst team in the SEC. Maybe the worst. Maybe the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be. If they go 3-9, I think based on my predictions, I think they are the worst. We'll get to the next worst here in just a minute. Let's go on to LSU. I'm going to let you start us off on LSU. How are you feeling about Brian Kelly and is this the third year for Brian Kelly down there in Baton Rouge?
Fourth year, right?
Or is this year 4? Yeah, because I think he started in LSU the same year as Brent Venables.
Yeah, he won the SEC West his first year. Then they had Jaden Daniels win the Heisman.
Yeah.
And then they had last year with Nussbus. And then this year. This will be his fourth year. Yeah. Look.
Fourth year. So how you feeling about year 4 for Kelly?
I'll have to find the take when Brian Kelly was hired at LSU. I'll have to pull it up. It's out there somewhere on the internet. I'm sure I can find it. I said that Brian Kelly would win a national championship at Louisiana State University. I still believe that. All right. I still believe it. Just because I think he is a great coach. He just had trouble getting over the hump. Now, I think they got a massive one week 1 at Clemson. I think they beat Clemson. I think they get over that first game hump under Brian Kelly. I think they beat Clemson. And I think they get on a freaking roll, Josh. I think they get on a roll, man. They got South Carolina coming to Baton Rouge. They do go to Oxford. I think they spank them around. They're going to rip Diego Pavia to shreds, brother. They got A&M at the crib. They do go to Alabama. All right. Alert. They do go to Alabama. That's a tough one there. But usually when LSU beats Alabama, it's in Tuscaloosa, Josh. So LSU fans might feel good about that one, brother. And then at Oklahoma to end the year, that's going to be a tough one. I think LSU makes a college football playoff. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're going 10-2. I got them finishing 4th in the Southeastern Conference. I think they're going 10-2. I think Brian Kelly makes the college football playoff with LSU. I think Nussbus has a fantastic year. Could be one of those guys that gets invited to New York. I'm not going to say he is going to be, but I think you have to buy stock in LSU because of what they have returning. And especially you look around the conference at the quarterback position, and they're one of the only teams that is cemented with a returning QB, right? That's played a lot of college football. Yeah, he's a veteran. He's played a lot of college football. He's been through the struggle. He sat and waited his turn behind a Heisman Trophy winner. So I think that's why you got to push the chips in on LSU. They might not win the SEC, but I think they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I feel like this is, like I mentioned a moment ago, this is Brian Kelly's best season with LSU, in my opinion. I agree with you. Exact same prediction, 10-2. I think they lose week 1 because they have struggled in week 1. I think they lose to Clemson, turn things around, right the ship, and lose one of those games. I think one of those games is probably South Carolina or at Alabama, just because, again, 2 teams that I'm pretty high on. I'm really excited about the Oklahoma game, but I do think that they probably win that one. I think it's going to be tough. I think Oklahoma's going to surprise people and how good they are, but they've got a brutal schedule, and we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, I'm right there with you. 10-2, make the college football playoffs. Obviously, at that, 10-2 probably gets you to the SEC championship this season. And who knows? I mean, if they get a shot at Kirby Smart this year, maybe that's the team that takes them down in the SEC championship. I don't know.
It could be, man. It could be.
If you just have to look at the quarterback, are you going to take Gunnar Stockton? Gary Meyer and all the weapons he has around him?
It would be hard to take Gunnar in that position because you always kind of want to roll with who's the guy that touches the ball the most, right? And you always got to roll with the quarterback, man. I think if you're in that spot, I think LSU would be the favorite in that game. I know Georgia's defense and everything, but man, LSU. As long as they can,
LSU's on defense, man.
They have, but as long as they can defend the quarterback run, that is what killed them last year when they played athletic quarterbacks that got out of the pocket and extended plays. Like Jalen Milroe killed them last year. I think if they can hone that in, and like you said, they've made some adjustments on defense, brought some guys in. They seem to be doing better on defense, and I think you got a hell of a defensive coordinator down there in Baton Rouge. So I do like LSU, man. I think they're going to be a heck of a club, and I think they make the college football playoff. I do.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's go ahead and move on to Mississippi State. I'll keep this one short and simple too. This is the team that I was saying second worst team in the SEC. If Kentucky goes your 3-9 as you're predicting, I'm going to give them 4-8 just because I'm looking at this. I think Southern Miss, Alcorn State, Northern Illinois. Hey, good job. You got 3 wins there. As long as you can perform, and I believe in Jeff Lebby. I think he's got enough to win those. So don't come at me with that. I think you could pull off a win against Arizona State. If you were, it's at home. That's the only reason why I think that you could. Don't think you're going to. Possibly at Arkansas. I feel like Mississippi State's got to win one of these games, right? Like one game in the SEC, anywhere in there? Probably not. I'm probably going 3-9, but my official prediction, I'm just going to give them 4-8. I do feel like they're going to win a game in there that maybe we wouldn't have given to them preseason.
They might go 2-10.
NIU takes them down, huh?
Watch out, week 1. They travel down to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Watch out. Pay close attention to it. In-state, Southern Miss haven't been very good lately, but watch out. All right. That's how much faith I got in Mississippi State. Look, I hate it for Mississippi State fans, Josh. They were dealt a brutal blow with the passing of their legend head coach, right? The Pirate, man, they lost him. They were put in a terrible situation. I feel so bad for that program because they were really on the up and up. They were starting to win like 8 games a year. The Pirate had some momentum in recruiting and in the transfer portal. He was starting to get guys to come to Mississippi State. And so when that happened, it's been a hard hole to climb out of. And I don't think that's going to happen this year. I do have them at 3-9 with Kentucky fighting for the worst team in the SEC. I just hate what has happened with Mississippi State, man. I really do. That's a brutal blow to try to come back from. So the Bulldogs, I think, are going to be terrible. And I hate it. But that's where we're at, man. Jeff Lebby still got a long way to go up there in Starkville.
I understand the move to Mississippi State, take a head coaching job in Mississippi, where he's from, where he's used to.
Yeah.
But was that a dumb move to leave Oklahoma to go to Mississippi State?
I think he was wanting to get his name out
Given
there. He was wanting to have his program. He was wanting to have his program.
Mississippi State the right place to go?
I think when you look at it, I think the way he kind of saw it was, okay, Mike Leach come in. He got Mississippi State on a winning trajectory. He's an offensive guy. I'm an offensive guy. My system can work in the SEC. I can go win games at Mississippi State. But I've been telling y'all this ever since you've been following me. When Oklahoma and Texas come into this conference, it just pushed the bottom of the totem pole even further down. And so, you know how I feel, Josh, with the teams that built this conference and made it what it is today, and then you add 2 more powerhouses to that recipe, it makes it really, really difficult for Mississippi State. And like I said, they were dealt an unfortunate hand, and it's an uphill battle for Jeff Lebby, man, and it's going to continue to be. And like you said, they're going to have to win a game. They're going to have to go out and pull a massive upset over somebody. And I think you saw signs last year. Like you saw them compete at least. Like they weren't just a pushover. They did get blown out by, who was it, Toledo or whatever at home. But I think as the year went on, you saw them compete in the SEC. And I think that Egg Bowl game they competed and they played very well. But, man, it's just – look, players win games, and they just don't have the talent right now.
Yeah. Interesting to see what Mississippi State does this year. because I really could see them, like you said, they were competing last year. I could see them winning 5 games and surprising everybody. But so that's why I'm going to keep them. I'm going to keep them at that 4-8, and kind of move on from there. Missouri. I'm going to be honest with you, Blake. I'm not high on Missouri. I don't see it with Drake here at Missouri this year. I don't think they're bad. All right, I'm not saying I'm down on Missouri. I think they're just fine. And let's remember, this is the SEC. What do you got for the Missouri Tigers going into 2025?
Josh, the more I keep hearing out of their fall camp, they're still having a quarterback battle, and so I don't know. I think they're going to be pretty good defensively, but man, you lose Luther Burden Jr. and you lose Cook, and taking your snaps and being the leader in that huddle, and you're having a quarterback battle after all we heard was Pabula was supposed to be the guy, and now we're hearing that it's kind of up in the air. And I don't 6-6, 7-5, maybe. Like, I think they struggle. I think they struggle getting to 6 wins, but I think they get there. But I think it's a step back from the Missouri that we have seen. Now, do I think if Pabula comes in or whoever takes that job, they come in and they hit the ground running? I think they could, have a fairly good season. But I don't think it's going to be the 9 or 10 win seasons that we have seen out of Mizzou here lately.
Yeah, I think I've got a lot of question marks with Bo Pabula. We just haven't seen anything from him. He's new. This is going to be new for him. Everything's new for him. They do get Ahmad Hardy. I've heard a lot of good things out of him, but I don't know how much that's going to matter on this offense. Like you said, they lost a lot with Luther Burden, losing him. Theo Weiss, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think he's there anymore. So I mean, you lose a lot there in the wide receiver room too. I don't know. I'm looking at that. Honestly, I think at Auburn is a loss for him. I think South Carolina, Bama, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, those are all losses to me. So I'm going to give them 8-4. I think they have solid season for Missouri. You can be happy with 8-4 if you're Missouri,
for sure.
It's Missouri. I'm not trying to hate on Missouri. I'm really not.
I get the Big 12 shot. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't have a whole lot of respect for what Missouri has done as a football program. I'm not. I think the more I talk, the more I sound like I'm taking shots at them, and I'm really not meaning to. But
I get
8-4, good job, Missouri. I mean, just be happy with that and move on.
I'm with you. I think it's a tad step back, but I still think they're going to be. I still think they're going to be good. Like I said, 6-6, 7-5. I could see. Like I said, I could see them getting to 8-4, but I'll go with 6-6.
Yeah, I mean, with the 8 wins, I'm giving them Central Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, UMass, Vandy, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. Maybe Vandy they lose to. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because Vandy, I do expect Vandy to come up, and they're not going to sneak up on people this year, but they're still going to be pretty good. They're going to be they're going to be good for Big 12 standards. I'll say it that way. Big 12 ACC standards, I guess. I don't know.
But, there you go.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to take shots to Big 12. I love the Big 12. I was a Big 12 guy for a long time, so I can't really hate on the Big 12. It's just without Oklahoma specifically and Texas, what is the Big 12? But yeah, I mean, Missouri, I think there's 8 wins in there. If they'll get them, I don't know. Time will tell. Let's jump on to Ole Miss. I do think Ole Miss takes a step back. There's a lot of question marks with Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And I think they take a step back. I think Lane Kiffin's a great coach, though, and I think he's going to keep them on the right track. He's going to have a down season. I think he bounces back next season just fine. If I'm taking an extra preview and going into next season, 2026 season, I think he'll be just fine. But Ole Miss, I think they take a little step back this year. They went 9-3 last year. I think LSU, Georgia, Oklahoma, and South Carolina are losses for Ole Miss. I think everything else is winnable. Although watch out for that Florida game. I think that Florida game is going to be very interesting. I'm interested, with the quarterback position. What's going to come about with that? And I think Lane Kiffin will do just fine there. I think trying to put together the pieces that you're missing from last season. I don't know. I'm just curious about what Ole Miss is going to be. I just don't have a whole lot of intel on Ole Miss, to be honest with you. And so I'm just kind of question marks with them. And that's why I'm leaving them at 8-4. I think they take a small step back. They bounce back in the future, though.
My biggest concern is, how do you replace a guy like Jackson Dart? That's my biggest concern. And I know Lane is an offensive guru, Josh. I get it. He's one of the best play callers in the country. I wanted him at Auburn. That was my guy. That was the number. I wanted him over Hugh Freeze. All right. We didn't get him. Chose to stay. I just don't know how you replace a Jackson Dart. I know Austin Simmons come in and he played, well for a couple drives when Dart was hurt or whatever. That's awesome. But we're talking about a full season of football here. Just tough to replace a guy like that. Their defense, it did improve last year a little bit, but there's still holes there. I think it's a minor step back. I don't think much. I think they go like 8-4. Mm-hmm. I think that schedule is kind of favorable. They do get LSU at home. I do think that's a loss. They do go to Georgia. I think Georgia pays them back. Going to Oklahoma is tough. I think that could be a loss. And then playing South Carolina, I don't care where that one's at. You get them at the crib, but I think Lenora Sellers is a problem, and I think South Carolina is going to be pretty dang good. So I say 8-4 for Ole Miss, man. I think that's a solid year, and that's what you can ask out of Lane Kiffin and this team, trying to replace what you lost with a guy like Jackson Dart, man. And so I can't be mad at 8-4.
Yeah, 8-4. That's at home, but I don't care. South Carolina's going to be good this year, and yeah. I mean, I think I just think that there's enough. Like I'm not expecting any kind of downward spiral or anything. I just think they're going to have a slight step back this year and get back out. But let's go on to I've talked about this Oklahoma college and about giving predictions on them. I'm not going to like I'm still the same prediction I gave over there on that channel.
All right, everybody. I think Josh was turning to. He's having some technical difficulties. I think Josh was turning to Oklahoma, and I will go down the Oklahoma football schedule right here and tell you what I think. I've got right here in my notes. I have Oklahoma going 8-4 on the year. I think they do beat Michigan at home. I think that's a big week 2 win. And you look at, I think the Auburn game is going to be a big one right there. If they can get that one, man, I think that's a massive win. They go to Texas, that game's in Dallas, so that's the Red River. They go to South Carolina. They got Ole Miss at home. They go to Knoxville. What's crazy is they've actually been there with they went to Knoxville with Baker, if I'm not mistaken, right, Josh? So they got a little familiarity with going to Knoxville and that fan base, I should say. And then, you go on the road to Alabama. That's a tough one. Then you got LSU to close the year, man. I think if Oklahoma goes 8-4, I think that is a solid year for Oklahoma. I think the fan base would ease off of Brett Venables a little bit. And I think, because I've always been straight up with Josh about Oklahoma. I've always felt like Oklahoma did the right thing with signing Brett Venables, right? I think Oklahoma knew that they were coming into the Southeastern Conference, and I think Oklahoma knew that they needed to switch their stance of being an offensive powerhouse and switch their stance to being a defensive juggernaut because of the conference that you were about to come into. And so I think they played it perfectly. Did it translate into success right away? No, but I've always told Josh to stay patient, just don't panic, because when fan bases panic in this conference, it leads to bad things. It leads to premature firings. And I think Brett Venables, I think he relieves some of that pressure this year. And I think Oklahoma, if you go 8-4 and John Mateer has a solid year, man, I think you're going to continue to recruit the crap out of players. You're going to be solid in that department. I think Oklahoma has a good year, man. I think you continue to get into the flow of what you used to be with going to the college football playoffs. And I think that 2026 season would look even better for Oklahoma. So I like them at 8-4, Josh.
Yeah, am I coming through a little bit better?
Yeah. You're there now.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Again, I apologize, everybody. I'm in a hotel, so I'm not going to get the best reception here. But
you're
normally I'm at home. I got a nice studio to be in and everything. But we're not in that luxury today. No, I like your prediction there. Like I was trying to say before, the connection just booted me. Apparently, they don't. Texas doesn't want me talking about Oklahoma, I guess. But I think Oklahoma, they've made all the right moves in the offseason. And so the more that I hear the national media talk, the more that I listen to Tim Brando say that he thinks Oklahoma goes, 9-3, 10-2, and makes the college football playoff, the higher I feel about this team. And it's there. It's just that all of those things that are there that we see on paper are all question marks right now because we haven't seen it come to fruition. And so I'm reserving myself because I just don't. I don't make that prediction with anybody else. The same thing with Ole Miss. Same thing with Tennessee. Same thing with whenever we get to Texas. Same thing with Alabama. All of these predictions that I've made without some sort of homer bias.
Yeah,
I've said that I can't see this yet. Therefore, this is what my prediction is. Same thing with Oklahoma. I'm going 8-4. I think South Carolina, Bama, and LSU are your losses on the season. If I'm taking my prediction, and then that fourth loss is probably going to come. That Red River rivalry is going to be huge. I think Oklahoma could be and probably will be 5-0 going into that. Huge for them. And then the Michigan game too. That's a big one, week 2.
Mm-hmm.
So Oklahoma's got a chance to go 9-3, make the college football playoff, because that is a brutal schedule. When you talk about at South Carolina, at Bama, LSU at home in one of the best years that they've had in a long time, at Tennessee, you got Ole Miss at home, Auburn at home, Michigan in the offseason, you got Texas. It's a brutal schedule, but yeah, I agree with you. 8-4, and you got to feel good about what you're building there and what you got going forward, because Michael Hawkins Jr. will be just fine next year, and give him some time, build him up. That's kind of the plan right now. So if you can stick to that plan, I think it looks pretty good for the Sooners.
I'm with you, man. I think the Mateer pickup was huge. Moneyline Mateer could have a big year for the Sooners. And it's not like he is playing for a defensive head coach this year, right? Like he is, but you brought some familiarity over with the OC. So, I think he's in a comfortable position. I like Oklahoma's spot here, man. I really do.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. I mean, a lot of these teams too, more closer we get to the season too. Let's jump over to South Carolina. I'm high on South Carolina. I look at their schedule and what they bring to the table, man. I think South Carolina is just scary, mainly because what Shane Beamer has built up there in Columbia. I mean, he has done an incredible job. When the Shane Beamer hype was going on, I wasn't buying into it. I really wasn't. Now I look at it and I think, man, like I was a fool not to think about it. I think you're going to get a better feeling that week 1 matchup against Virginia Tech. What does that look like? How do they perform against Virginia Tech? After that, man, I think they get on a roll. They got a stretch where they go South Carolina State, Vanderbilt, at Missouri, Kentucky, and then at LSU is where they start their hard stretch. At LSU, you got Oklahoma come to town against Alabama, at Ole Miss, at A&M. Then you got Coastal Carolina, but then Clemson to close out the season. Man, it's a tough schedule. And just because of that tough schedule, I'm going to give them 9-3. I think there's a possibility for 10-2 in there if they're as good as I think they can be.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really good. Obviously, they bring back one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, right? I think they're undefeated when they go to Baton Rouge. I think they're probably going to drop that one. But this is the 3-game stretch, man, where I think you got to come out. You got to win at least one of these 3 games. You're at LSU, you got Oklahoma at home, and then you got Alabama at home. You would love to win 2, but you gotta win at least 1. And then you go to Ole Miss, ooh, brutal. You go to Texas A&M, brutal. Then you come back for Coastal Carolina. Then you got Clemson at the crib. All right, big time rivalry game. Clemson highly favored to win the college football playoff. Like people are saying that Cade Klubnik could win the Heisman. They could win the whole thing, right? I don't believe it, but that's just what the talking heads are saying. So brutal schedule. I think if you can get through that stretch of at LSU, Oklahoma, and Alabama coming to town, if you can just win one of those games, man, I like you only dropping one of those next 4. I like you at 9-3. I like South Carolina at 9-3. So I think what Beamer's done, I thought this was a guy when the Virginia Tech job opened. When it opened up, I thought he was gone. I said, well, he was just going to go continue his dad's legacy there. And he chose to stay at South Carolina. He said South Carolina was the place he wanted to be. Hey, good for the Gamecocks fans, man. I like seeing South Carolina be competitive. I was asked a question on Twitter a couple years ago, and it was an Auburn fan. I'm not going to say his name, but he's got a lot of followers and everything. They said, can South Carolina be competitive year in and year out in the SEC? And I said, yes. And he was like, you're kidding. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, why do you say that? Like they've never won anything. And I'm like, well, they've won. Like they've played in the SEC championship game. Like they've had NFL talent come through the school. They had one of the best running backs that when I was coming up, man. Lattimore was just phenomenal. If it wasn't for the freak injury, he could have had one hell of a career. So let's not act like South Carolina can't produce talent, man. I think they could be a force in this conference at the top. Now, do I think they go on a run and win national championships all the time? No. But I think that you could see Beamer have success here and go 9-3 and squeak into the college football playoffs, and then keep them consistently at a playoff contender. Maybe not making it every year, maybe going 8-4 here and there, and then sneaking in every now and then. I think that's what South Carolina can be, man. I really do under Beamer.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think he does a lot of good things there. I mean, he's recruiting really well there now, and building up the future of that program.
He does some corny stuff, but I think it's cool to the players. I think they feed off of it. So it might be corny to a lot of fans, but I think those 18 to 22, or hell, now I think you got to say 18 to 27-year-olds, I think they find it pretty cool. So I think he's a player's coach, and I think he's a heck of a dude, man.
Yeah, he's a fun dude. He's a fun dude. No matter how you want to look at it, he is corny, but he's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's look at Tennessee. Blake, I know you and I were talking about Tennessee a little bit, and I don't know. I'm just ever since it wasn't even the fact that they lost Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah,
it's the fact that it was the drama around losing Nico that has me questioning kind of what this team is going to do this season. They're going to have to lean on that run game the way that Josh Heupel likes to. He likes to lean on the run to open up the pass game. And it has fared well for him in years past, but you've got to recognize that they don't have a Dylan Sampson to do that with the way that they did last season. I don't know. I think there's enough question marks about this team. I really do not see the hype. I think a lot of talking heads are putting some sort of hype around Joey Aguilar where I just don't see it. And so I really am not very high on Tennessee. I don't think they're gonna be bad. I have faith in Josh Heupel to keep them relevant. Yep. And again, kind of similar to what I was mentioning about Ole Miss. They may take a step back this season, but I don't think they're down and out. I don't think they're on a spiral. I'm looking through their schedule, and I think I just think this is a team that's going to take a step back. I'll let you kind of take it first with your prediction.
Well, I just tell you this. I got them at 7-5 because I think they lose week 1. I think they lose to
Really?
Syracuse. Yeah, I do. I do. I think they lose week 1. They're in a spot where they have to show it to me because everything that happened with Nico, you got blasted your last game out against Ohio State where you took over their stadium, and then you went up there and you got Uncle touched. All right. Uh, they're in a show me spot, and I can't pick you week 1. You got to show me because this Aguilar situation. Some people are saying he's a dog. Some people are saying that Tennessee's 7-5. I'm one of those people saying Tennessee 7-5. Like you said, you don't have a Dylan Sampson back there anymore. I do think their defense is stout, but you've even had some question marks over there in the offseason. Some guys flying out to LA and stuff and not showing up to camp on time and all this. There's just some distractions around there.
And I
What's his
think the
name? Boo
biggest
Carter?
question mark. Yeah,
Ain't
yeah,
it
and
Boo Carter that was
yeah,
doing that? Yeah.
I believe so. And yeah, I think the biggest question mark that I have is just all of they sound like Oklahoma this time last season, with all
Mm,
the injuries popping up, specifically in the wide receiver corps, and that wide receiver room is going down. It doesn't look good for Tennessee. So I'm low on them. I would give them an 8-4 if it wasn't for all the injury
yeah.
news that's been coming out. But I'm with you, man. I'm going 7-5. I'm looking at Tennessee, and I think 7-5. I think they drop a game they shouldn't, and then of course I think Georgia, Bama. I think those are losses. I will be at the Oklahoma Tennessee game, excited for that one to experience
Mm-hmm.
Knoxville. But I think Oklahoma wins that one, and then I think Florida can also be another team that comes away with the victory over over Tennessee this season. Yeah, and I think that they lose a game that they shouldn't. Maybe you're right. Maybe Syracuse is that one. I think uh man, I'm drawing a blank. What's Syracuse's head coach? Fran.
Yeah, Brown. And a
Yeah,
Brown.
Fran Brown, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I was drawing a blank on his name totally. Like what he's doing up there. I think he's pulling in some 4-star recruits. He's pulling in some blue
Yeah.
chips up there to
Yeah.
Syracuse and stuff. I
Basketball
love
school,
it.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That could be that's a good pick. I like that one. I wasn't even thinking about what they've been doing here recently, and that's
Yeah.
a quote unquote neutral game too, which is neutral site
Yep.
game, which is weird, but it is. So yeah, that could be one. I think another one to kind of look at the schedule. I mean, maybe Kentucky or Arkansas slips in there and steals one from them. I don't know. I just think that Tennessee they're in trouble because of all the injury news that we've been getting. I'm right there with you. I'm thinking
For sure.
7-5 on the season.
For sure.
All right, let's go ahead and move down to Texas. I have a hard time with Texas because I have a ton of respect for Steve Sarkisian. I know I'm an Oklahoma fan. I'm supposed to talk trash about him, but I have respect for Steve Sarkisian as a football coach. He's doing crazy good things with Texas, and he's brought them to a Final Four, a Final Four playoffs, and got them
Mm-hmm.
through the playoffs last season as well. So 2 playoff runs. I think starting off at Ohio State is going to be rough for them. I think that's going to be brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That Red River rivalry, I think that Red River game is going to be fun. I think it's going to be it'd be a 4-1 Texas against a 5-0 Oklahoma, in my prediction. But it's going to be fun. I'm not going to give that one to Oklahoma. Like I mentioned a moment ago, I think that's one that Oklahoma could lose. It's kind of a toss-up game right now because it's a rivalry game, everything that goes into that. Outside of that, I mean, Texas doesn't have a super tough schedule coming into the SEC the first 2 years. So then, of course, you got at Georgia. I think that's a loss, and I think A&M's another toss game for them. So honestly, I think Texas should take a step back this season. But I think that step back is just going to be down to 9-3, and I think they're going to be just fine. I think 9-3, you're flirting with the playoffs if you're at 9-3 in the SEC.
I think Texas goes 11-1, maybe 10-2, all depending on that Ohio State game. I do think Arch Manning is the absolute truth. Now, losing Quinn Ewers, and
I think you're crazy.
You think I'm crazy about Arch?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen we haven't seen good film on him. Not any good film.
We haven't. We haven't.
Solid film. And so it's just a big question mark is all.
It is, and losing a guy like Quinn, you can say what you want to him.
I'm not down on him the way that a lot of Oklahoma fans would be. I just think he can come in there and be serviceable and get him to 9-10 wins just fine.
I think they beat Ohio State at Ohio State. I think they did.
I just don't think that's the case. I mean, they lost, if memory serves me correctly, 13 players to the draft this past season.
I get that.
It's a lot of production gone.
Ohio State lost some folks too.
And Ohio State's Ohio State.
I get that. And
they've been doing it.
They're going to reload.
They did it with Will Howard.
But they lost some folks too. And I think Texas goes up there. I think Arch has a night. I think they win, and I think that rolls them. On. I do think the Red River is going to be tricky. You never know what's going to happen in that game, man. Let's be honest. It's a toss. It's like the Iron Bowl. It's a toss-up. The Texas State Fair, the Cotton Bowl. It's just an electric atmosphere. I think they roll after that until they go to Georgia. But after that, once again, Arkansas and A&M, I think they win those, man. Like I said, 11-1, possibly 10-2 if they handle business up there at the Horseshoe against Ohio State. So I like Texas as the second best team in the Southeastern Conference this year.
All right. I think you're not saying anything too crazy, honestly. You're going with, probably what most
kind of chalk.
Yeah, I think what most most talking heads. They're unanimously number one across most people's boards. So it's not anything crazy to kind of put them up there and expect them to do.
I just like Sark, man. I do too. I think he's great.
I do too. So I don't like him, but I respect him.
Yeah. I get your
You know what I mean?
He torched us at Alabama for years, so I shouldn't like him, but I do. So.
Yeah, so I have a hard time with Texas because of how much they lost.
Yeah,
I need to see it, so I'm sticking with my 9-3 prediction.
I like it.
For Texas fans wanting to hate on me, I'm giving you a better prediction than I'm giving my Sooners. So
there you go.
You gotta give me some leeway there. But I do think Ohio State, man. With their wide receiver room is just freaking stacked every single season. They just picked up another 5-star wide receiver or maybe they didn't pick him up yet. I was looking at some of the recruiting. Anyways, man, it's just, you got Jeremiah Smith over there doing his thing. I think Julian Sand has to be a step up from Will Howard. I don't think Will Howard was a good quarterback. He was a solid does his job quarterback. He's nothing special. There's nothing spectacular about Will Howard. So just the fact that they were able to do it with him, I don't see how they go in there and beat Ohio State just because of all the production that they lost. But I agree with you. I think they could surprise me just because Sarkisian is a good coach. He could surprise me.
He is that for sure, Josh.
All right, A&M. A&M, I think, is going to have a big turning point in their third game of the season, September 13th, when they've got to go up to South Bend. That's right, up to South Bend. Don't ask me why South Bend is in the most northern part of Indiana, but it's up there, and it's going to be a fun game. Texas A&M going to South Bend. That's going to tell us a lot about who this team really is, and if Mike Elko has this team on the right track. And then, of course, Auburn. Man, I don't know. This Texas A&M team is just tricky to me because every season they've got the hype, and every season I want to buy into that hype. I'm never really willing to.
I'm with you.
So I'm looking at this schedule. I think Notre Dame loss. Auburn. If I'm keeping it real with you, I think Auburn is better than they were last year. I think this is a game that Auburn comes in and is able to win. Florida. I think Florida's able to come in there and win. Of course, at LSU, I think that's a loss. Yeah. And then, of course, at Texas, that's a loss. I want to go even further down. I think 8-4 is a reasonable and realistic expectation for Texas A&M this upcoming season. That's what my official prediction is going to be at.
Yeah, I was going to say 8-4, maybe 7-5.
Agreed.
Just because I'm with you on the hype, man. Like they get hyped up every year, and it just all falls apart. And look, here's my thing. I think Marcel Reed's great. I think he does
Yeah.
have to work on the passing game a little bit. They do have some weapons. I think they're going to be pretty good offensively. But I'll tell you this: Kyle Field is not intimidating to me in the slightest. I think Auburn has had, not recently, but we've had success there. You highlighted that game. Notre Dame went in there last year, and I think that Notre Dame game is going to be pivotal to their success. And if they go up there and lose, I think the fan base is they're going to be a little impatient. They're going to be on the edge of their seat saying, "Hey man, this Mike Elko thing. All right, what's going on here?" Like, you don't want to lose. The SEC has this thing about Notre Dame, Josh, where it's like they just played in the national championship, but if an SEC team loses to Notre Dame, they're like, "Man, you just lost to Notre Dame, dog." Like, you saw how they treated Georgia last year after they lost to Notre Dame. It didn't matter that they didn't have Carson Beck. It's just how SEC fans are, man. You're not supposed to lose to Notre Dame. And so, you come back home and play Auburn, like you said, that's going to be a massive game. I'm just not high on Texas A&M, and I don't think I ever will be until they show it to me, man. Like, that's the thing with me is I believe in the talent that they got, but I think you got to go win football games for me to really get on the train. Now, mid-season, I could totally go back and say, "Hey, I was an idiot." All right, on that preview show, like I was dumb me. All right, but you got to show me first. So that's kind of where I'm in the wait and see mode for Texas A&M.
Yeah, and I always am, and I like you said, I never question their talent. They have talent every single season.
Yeah.
And I always questioned Jimbo Fisher, just never trusted him there. Mike Elko, I trust. I really do. And there's nothing about Texas A&M this year that I don't trust. For one, they're in a tough, they got a tough schedule. They got some tough teams on there. And a very deep and tricky SEC this year. When you look at it, it's going to be a very tricky SEC because there's a few teams, Oklahoma being one of them, that didn't have a good season last year that are going to turn around and have a good season this year. Florida, I think Florida's going to take a step forward this year. Maybe their record won't show it, but I think they're going to take a step forward this year. So there's some teams in there that just make it tricky, and so that being part of it, I think Texas A&M. I have a hard time putting them over that 8-4 mark.
You know what makes me not believe in them is because they come to Auburn last year, man, and they had the opportunity to be like a game away from going to the SEC championship, and they let Auburn put a wrench in that. Like a team, Texas A&M should have blasted us, bro.
I mean, that's the same Auburn team that lost to Oklahoma last season, man. I mean, just
the same Auburn team that lost to Cal, bro.
That's right.
And I get Jordan. I get Jordan Hare's a freaky place. I do. I get it. It was at night, but roster to roster, you should have come in and absolutely spanked Auburn. You were on a mission, man. You were on a mission to try to get to Atlanta, and you let Auburn throw. You let Auburn throw that off course, and that is why I do not believe in Texas A&M. It's because of things like that, man. Show me before I pick you.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm sitting there right with you. 8-4, 7-5 is what I wanted to go with. I really did, but I'm not that down on them.
8-4. Yeah.
I'm not that down on them. I don't have any reason why they shouldn't be 9-3, but 8-4 feels right. I'm not buying into the hype. Just like every season, I'm staying away from it.
Yeah.
Let's go down to the last team here on our predictions, and then that is Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's going to be just as good as last year. They're just not going to sneak up on teams. That's to say that I think Vanderbilt will be good to Vanderbilt's standards. I've always said this, Blake. I've said this I don't know how many times. Vanderbilt knows two things: mathematics and baseball. They're not great at football. Okay, so let's not pretend like they are. At Virginia Tech, I don't know. Coin flip that game for me. You tell me which one it lands on, and that's what we'll go with. At South Carolina, that's a loss. At Alabama, sorry, you're not doing it 2 years in a row. You're just not. That's a loss. LSU, that's a loss. Missouri, you have a chance there just because, again, I'm not high on Missouri, especially like you said, with quarterback battle still being in the loom. Who knows? Maybe Missouri is worse than I'm predicting. So you got a chance there. But at Texas, that's a loss. Auburn, that's a loss. You could beat Kentucky, and then at Tennessee. Again, maybe you steal one from Tennessee because I'm not too high on Tennessee right now. I don't know. Let's see what Tennessee does this year. But man, I'm not putting too much stock into Vanderbilt. I'm going to say they go 6-6.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that's kind of irked me, and I think the more I hear about it, is like irked a lot of people. Is I don't think this showing on look. This has nothing to do with the football field, but I don't think the showing on the SEC documentary has sat with people in the right way. Okay. I really don't, because players watched it. Coaches watched it, Josh. And look, I think Diego Pavia is great. He's got our number. But getting on there and saying that you're the baddest MFer to walk the earth and all of this stuff, like Vandy's going to win the national championship. I get the confidence thing, all right? But I feel like it's great value Johnny Manziel. All right? I do. I think it's like off-brand Johnny Manziel. I get the confidence thing. But look, I think you go to Tuscaloosa, I think you get absolutely waxed. I think you got LSU coming to town. I think you get waxed. I think you go to Austin, Texas. I think you get waxed. I think you go to Columbia, South Carolina. I think you get waxed. That's 4 right there, Josh. That's 4. I think they go 5-7. I think they go 5-7.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to repeat what they did last year. And they went 6-6 last year. And everybody kept saying, "Man, Vandy's a good team." No, they weren't. They really weren't. They weren't a good team.
They beat Alabama, and that was the only hype that they got. I mean, Oklahoma beat Alabama, but that was a different type of style. Like if you were to take Oklahoma and Vanderbilt comparatively against Alabama, you had an Oklahoma team who was stout. Danny Stutzman was sniffing out Jalen Milroe all game. What did Vanderbilt do? Alabama hurt themselves time and time again against Vanderbilt, and put themselves into stupid positions, terrible play calling. Yeah, and they did the same to Oklahoma. I'm not going to play that down or anything, but to put those two programs, I mean, that's just everyone wants to act like Vanderbilt's going to be good just because they beat Alabama last year. I'm probably with you. I'm probably saying 5-7. I'm just thinking that they do have the confidence to go with it. I think they get to 6-6, go to a bowl game.
That's great for Vanderbilt. That's great, though. That's great. 6-6 is great for Vanderbilt. And if you're a Vanderbilt fan watching this, like, I'm not trying to down you. I'm just saying, if you can get to 5-7, that is way better than 2-10 or 1-11, which you normally go. So I'm not saying that you're just going to be trash. I'm just saying that you're going to have the target on your back this year because, one, your quarterback he's a great talent. I'm not going to say he's a great quarterback. I think he's a great talent. I think he's a great athlete. But he's also been on record saying some things, and I think you're going to have a bullseye on your back. And so that is why I think if
you don't even Josh Pate, if you don't even know who Josh Pate is, you're not winning more. I don't care who you are. You got to get with the program, man.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big dock on the record there. But yeah, Vanderbilt probably not going anywhere this year. I agree with you. 5-7, 6-6 best. That's all. That's it. We got through all 16 teams right around that hour and a half mark, which I was hoping we'd be able to reach. Again, normally everybody we got better connection issues in the area. No less connection issues than this. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I know we didn't really advertise this show a whole lot this week, so hopefully we can get more in. I wanted to stream a little bit more as well, put it over on X so we can get more people in here. But to everybody who did tune in, thank you so much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well so you know when we go live. We will be here, Blake Lane, Josh Mahler, here on SEC Primetime Live on SEC at the Voice of College Football, here on the Voice of College Football every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. tune in here. Of course, Blake Lane, Auburn at the voice of college football. Josh Mahler, Oklahoma at the voice of college football. That's all we got for you guys tonight. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.